Everyone, so we can start right now, right?
Keep the camera.
Yes, so for thousands of years, local myths and religious folklore has explained the man-made origins of this 30-mile linking structure. A bridge of that length would have been basically impossible to build thousands of years ago. Anyways, it is a monumental feat of engineering for early humans, nothing short of miraculous. However, the Hindu version of the tale, the Indian Sanskrit epic Ramayana by Valmiki, speaks of a bridge, Rama Setu. Setu means bridge in Sanskrit, by the way, so we call it Rama's bridge. This bridge connects India with Sri Lanka and a land ruled by a 10-headed Brahmin emperor Ravana. And welcome to discover the Ramayana Trail, a story of untapped potential. And good evening, everybody. And thank you so much for investing your time with us. And my name is Musli Jifri, and I'm your moderator today. And we have an amazing panel discussion on discovering the Ramayana Trail, where we will be talking about the history, the untapped market, the culture, and how could we promote it, and which could also impact the tourism business directly and indirectly. And today, as panelists, we do have Dr. Sandeep Kulshthra, the President of Tourism and Hospitality Educators and Researchers Association of Asia, and Professor Suranga Silva, the Secretary General of Tourism and Hospitality Educators and Researchers Association of Asia, and Mr. Kumar Sithambaram, Managing Director, Travelwind Holidays Private Limited, and Mr. Arun Srivasthava, Deputy Director General, Ministry of Tourism, and Mr. Jeewana Fernado, Assistant Director, Sri Lankan Tourism Promotions Bureau, and Mr. Ranjan Seghal, President of Indian Gulf Tourism. And I would like to thank all of the panelists again for investing your time with us. And with that, I would like to invite Mr. Vajira Ratnayaka, the Secretary of Tourism and Hospitality Educators and Researchers Association of Asia, to deliver the welcome speech.
Everyone, namaskar. Good evening to all of you who are present on this beautiful evening. As the Secretary of Tourism and Hospitality Educators and Researchers Association of Asia, I would like to welcome our most respected panel members and our virtual audience who are joining all the way from different countries. Let me introduce our panel members. Dr. Sandeep Kulshthra, the President of THERAA, Professor Dr. Suranga Silva, the Secretary General of THERAA, Mr. Arun Srivasthava, the Deputy Director General of Ministry of Tourism, India, Mr. Ranjan Seghal, the President of Gulf Tourism in India, Mr. Kumar Sithambaram, the Managing Director of Travelwind Holidays Sri Lanka, Mr. Jeewana Fernado, Assistant Director, New Product Development, Sri Lanka, Tourism Promotional Bureau. Well, I think this is the right time for us to host a webinar under the theme of Discovering Ramayana Trails, the story of untapped potential, because Sri Lanka tourism is to welcome Indian tourists very soon, next week. So this would be a great opportunity for Sri Lanka tourism as well as India tourism. We strongly believe that we can stimulate the interest of Indian tourists to visit Sri Lanka for their spiritual blessings during the pandemic as well as after the pandemic. So I'm not going to take much time, as there is an eminent panel of resource personnel to enlighten your knowledge on Ramayana Trails. Hope you all will gather a lot of knowledge from this webinar. Stay with us till the end. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Mr. Vajira. And Lanka in Ramayana is today known as the modern Sri Lanka, and every year millions of Hindu devotees visit Sri Lanka to pay their respects. Among all these things to do in Sri Lanka, exploring the locations where events of Ramayana took place is an amazing activity, and it's all about creating that diversified experience, which is the key. Therefore, I would like to invite Professor Suranga Silva to share his thoughts with us.
Very good evening. Indeed a great honor and it's a great pleasure for me to do a welcome speech, at the same time welcome speech of this very valuable webinar. Webinar on Discover the Ramayana Trail and Story of Untapped Potentials. Ramayana, the great story between the both nations, symbolized not only the eminent synthesis of Sri Lankan and Indian cultural values, but also socio-economic and political relationship between both great nations. Lanka is the name to the island fortress capital of legendary King Ravana in the epic of Ramayana and Mahabharata. So I would like to invite here with the most valuable resource person invited this webinar. First of all, President of THERAA, Dr. Sandeep Kulshthra. I still remember that how we developed the THERAA in 2013 when we organized the conference, international conference in Sri Lanka. So we together decided to have the THERAA establishment. As a result of now, THERAA has been developed various contributions for different countries in different under different themes of tourism development. So I would like to welcome the Mr. Arun Srivasthava, Deputy Director General, Deputy Director General of Ministry of Tourism, India. Thank you very much for your participations. We highly appreciate your contribution for this very valuable webinar. At the same time, Mr. Ranjan Seghal, the co-founder of Professionals, President of India Golf Tourism Associations, and Mr. Jeewana Fernado, Assistant Director of New Tourism Product Development, Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, and Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau. Finally, Mr. Kumar Sithambaram, Managing Director of Travelwind Holidays in Sri Lanka. So all valuable resource personnel and eminent researchers are doing very great contributions, and we hope that your knowledge enhancement and knowledge contributions is very, very valuable for Sri Lanka tourism, Sri Lanka and India tourism development. So as I very clearly mentioned you that past few years, THERAA International Conference held in India 2 times, Sri Lanka 3 times, Iran, Bangladesh, Japan and Italy, we conducted consecutively. So obvious fact that the contribution of THERAA is not confined to Asia, as the knowledge and wisdom is universal phenomenon. So I'm sure that these eminent panel members will enlighten us how this untapped potential can be open to the great satisfaction of tourism and tourism development between both countries, and more specifically under UNWTO World Tourism Celebration in 2021, tourism for inclusive growth. So how we can utilize this Ramayana Trail tourism promotions and development to ensure the tourism development for inclusive growth of both countries. So thank you very much. Again, I would like to thank specifically the great contributors of this event. Mr. Vajira Ratnayaka, you are the Secretary of Sri Lanka to Sri Lanka branch of THERAA, and you have done a very valuable commitments and commitments for the development of this webinar. At the same time, my diploma students and other students, those who made a huge commitment for making this webinar a great success. So I wish you all the best and looking forward to have very valuable knowledge contributions with the practical application for promoting Ramayana Trail for Sri Lanka tourism under new World Tourism celebrations and World Tourism Celebration tourism growth for inclusive development of both countries. Thank you very much, and wish you a very successful webinar from today's event. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you so much, Professor Suranga Silva, for sharing your thoughts. And so here's the format to give you an idea of what to expect. So I'll be kicking off with the conversation, asking questions that would relate to your area of expertise and trends we should be thinking about. And panelists, briefly introduce yourselves and tell a little bit about your background in the industry before diving in. And you can take like 15 minutes approximately to answer your questions. And then we'll give the viewers an opportunity to ask questions that they've been thinking about, which would also help us to navigate the upcoming opportunities and challenges to be more successful in the business. And yes, moving on. The Ramayana Trail is a sequence of places said to be the stopovers and abodes of Sita during her captivity in Lanka, as well as the locations of Hanuman's search for her, narrated in the Sundara Kand, which is the 5th section, and Rama's fight for her liberation, according to the Yuddha Kand, the 6th book of Ramayana. And Sri Lanka nowadays is proud to be regarded as the setting of major events told in the Ramayana. And Mr. Sithambaram, we would like to hear your thoughts about this Ramayana Trail. Also, could you please tell us the significance of promoting Ramayana Trails to diversify Sri Lanka's tourism products and the unique selling propositions of Ramayana Trails for Sri Lanka tour operators? And moving on, there's also a small video clip there for Mr. Sithambaram. You can just continue the talk after the video.
Hi, Boan. Vanakkam, namaste, namaskar. Thank you, Professor Suranga, and thank you very much for the introduction by Musni, and thank you for the opportunity given by Vajira and my friend Charit. My name is Kumar, and actually I'm representing on behalf of Global Encyclopedia of Ramayana, as well as the tourism aspects. I representing from Travelwind Holidays, Sri Lanka. So let me, like I was asked to talk a little bit of a Ramayana and how we can promote Ramayana on the destinations management company's perspective. So this simply like what we really want to do on the Ramayana initially, to give an introduction about Ramayana, people who come on a holiday or pilgrimage or yatra program to here. So basically, we have to start with a basic fundamental introduction of Ramayana towards the pilgrimage side, as well as the any point of the people who visit to Sri Lanka, any person who conduct a tour, or any person or the chauffeurs or a national guides or like the tour operator or a travel agents or a marketing person, he should understand the basic fundamental of Ramayana. So even though like now I think Musli and Professor and Valjira briefed about the Ramayana. So I will not go through that in detail about this further into that introduction, but in this project, we are giving a different dimension to Ramayana. We are facilitating people to travel and see the sites related to Ramayana in Sri Lanka. It's a fact that when people travel, they enhance their knowledge at a cost. The host country, especially the Sri Lanka, economically benefits due to the increase in visitors and its cascading effects due to the travel to the destination. As Vajira has clearly mentioned, it's a great time. I think we have started this superb webinar to the worldwide. And this gives an immense image of Sri Lanka, especially for the Ramayana, when you come to talk about the Ramayana. So let me briefly talk about like that, how this the family background of the Ramayana. I think like not many, I mean like most of the people don't touch this area, whereas like when you come to Sri Lanka, we only started to talk about the places and especially the 6th chapter of Lankapuri Kanda or Yuddha Kanda. But like it's nice when you talk with communicate with the customers or pilgrimage or yatra people, it's nice to start with that, like how the family started of King Dasaratha and like these 3 wives and then 4 sons, especially Rama, Bharata, Lakshmana and Satrugna. Then also we should know about the area we have promoting the Ravana, because like a lot of people when they come, because it comes to that like the epic of Ramayana is more playing with the Ravana and Rama. So it's very key important elements that we should know about the Ravana's family and background of the Ravana family. So actually, I don't need to go through that. But like the people who are audience, especially the students or the followers of the Ramayana, or like who wants to fundamentally know about the Ramayana, they should know about the King Ravana's family background, also like how he lived in Sri Lanka and how ruled Sri Lanka. So basically, his father is Vishnu Muni and his mother is Kaikeshi, and his wife is Ravana's wife is Mandodari, and he had two brothers and one sister. And in fact, I don't know how many people are aware about that. King Ravana had 7 children actually. It's Indrajit, Akshay Kumaran, Trisharan, Atikayan, Pragastan, Narantagan, and Devantagan. So these are the like little bit of a touch when we talk to the pilgrimage, or like when you talk to the when you promote or talk about travel agents in India or any part of the world, or when you refer, it's nice to have a knowledge about background about the Rama's family and Ravana's family. So also I don't need to repeat on that. This is the fundamental of Balakanda, Ayodhya Kanda, Aranya Kanda, Kiskinda Kanda, Sundra Kanda, and mostly it's called Yuddha Kanda, but like I would prefer, or like be nice if we can call it as a Lankapuri Kanda, and also the Uttarakhanda. I think most of the people don't much aware about the Uttarakhanda, because Uttarakhanda is the highlight of King Ravana, because how he is good in all the even though it's some of the places is marketed is very wrongly about King Ravana, like he is a bad king, or like he is because of this episode they have looked into a different angle. But the Uttarakhand, it's beautifully described King Ravana, how nice, how beautifully ruled the country, how blessed he lived in that country with Ayurvedic and arts, culture and dance, performance, all that he loved. And also he worshipped the Lord Shiva, and how prayed the temple for Panja Iswara temple in Sri Lanka, how he built it, and how he was looked after Sita when he brought down to Sri Lanka. So these things in Uttarakhand. So that's the key area. I think I would suggest that people should refer to the entire all khandas and read thoroughly and understand to explain. So these are the, we also identified 54 sites in Sri Lanka, basically. Out of that, I have just picked 30 sites, which still people go around and explore and we can promote. But generally in terms, many tour operators or many travel agents tend to promote only just a 3 nights and 4 days Ramayana, or it's like they promote it as a 4 nights 5 days tour, so 5 nights 6 days tour. But you have to you have to make it as a premium brand actually, Ramayana. So Ramayana shouldn't be lush or the clash with this other agenda of most of the DMC's company. We have seen when you go for our promotions or marketing, or when you do the itinerary program, actually they end up with casinos. Ramayana tours is end up with unnecessary other activities. So that shouldn't be the case. Actually, when it comes to the Ramayana, it has to be a Ramayana places, and it has to be identified, it has to be marketed and significantly talk about the Ramayana and cover the maximum places, because of most of the people who come on a Ramayana Yatra is very much believing Lord Rama, or who have gone through the history of Ramayana. And I advise everybody to do a proper itinerary and conduct the program without deviating the Ramayana into other area. So these are the suggestions. A lot of places now it's starting with everybody who ever come on a holiday or a tour around in Sri Lanka. I think most of them are covers, because Sitaman temple is it's in the hill station, so everybody make visit. But having said that, we have more places now eastern part of Sri Lanka and northern parts of Sri Lanka. It's open for foreigners. You must explore it and see that, especially the temple where the Lord Rama first entered to Mana, that's a place, the Tirikeshwaram temple. Actually, the government of India is fully sponsored that temple, and they are doing the complete restoration program. It's a beautiful temple. So those are the places like you must make promotions on these places. So this is the, I just suggested these are some of the places we can have a look, and you can start to include in your itinerary and the program and promote to the customers. In terms of like create more awareness about the Ramayana, because like now we are in the global encyclopedia of Ramayana, and we closely work with Ayodhya Research Center based in Sri Lanka, and we also doing a lot of documentation program, identifying the places and to like give the publicity. So these are the like few notes I would like to suggest for the people who are promoting Ramayana based from Sri Lanka. When you go for a more road shows, talk about the Ramayana, and more publicity through travel agents, like when you go like talk about with the knowledge, you talk about that. And also I suggest like a lot of in India or like any part of the world, like a lot of Hindu Swamijis are preaching Ramayana and preaching Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata, all that. So those people, I think you must tap it. And also I suggest that like with the government of Sri Lanka, it will be nice in 2024, the temple will be open. So we can hope in Ayodhya. So it will be nice to have a information center, which I was also proposed to Sri Lanka tourism also. And this is a support in actually the University of Colombo should do a documentation of Sri Lanka Ramayana. So that part we can also help you to have a documentation area. And also like some of the colleges, university, we must approach to get awareness in the worldwide. And also cultural exchange program between India and Sri Lanka. That's the most key area. We had it, and now for the time being, because of the pandemic, it has been stopped. But it's nice. We have to collaborate, do a lot of cultural events in Sri Lanka as well as in India as well. Also, I suggest like last year, even though like the pandemic time, we managed to participate for the Ram Leela festival from Sri Lanka through the Ayodhya temple and Ayodhya Research Center. And also we have to create more theatrical events. We have a team in Sri Lanka. Actually, we have like Dr. Amila and Gayatri, Mr. Shanta Kumar, Dharani, Dr. Kumadini, Dr. Mayasena Dida, and those people can do a lot of theatrical events to give more awareness about the Ramayana. And also it was the suggestions that like to have a small video clip on inward flight from Delhi, inward flight from Mumbai, inward from South India. Like we had a 52 flights every day, per weekly from India. So we give a little bit of a clip on the Ramayana awareness inside the flight also. And also it was a suggestion like that we have to have some kind of awareness posters in the Colombo airport arrival launch. What we see in all the Indian airport, a lot of historical pictures. It gives a great image about the cultural and historical. So similar like that, we also something to introduce. Develop Ramayana Yatra through DMCs. That's the key area. All DMCs should work collectively with common purpose of Ramayana. As I said, like previously, you must get trained and know knowledge about the Ramayana and do a proper packages and proper itineraries also. And also we prefer to have a lot of knowledge about the places, especially for the staff who are doing the itineraries or like the marketing people. They should have visited all these places and to have a good knowledge, and especially technical visits, basically how long the journey takes, how difficult it is to walk this area, because of the Ramayana Yatras, most of the people who comes on like senior people, elderly people, it's good to have a knowledge. Then we can convince without any fear, we can tell, no, you can walk. Or, for example, if you go to walk Ravana cave, it's a difficult task, it's challenging, but it's still nice to convince the people that how difficult it is also. And also guides and the tour leaders should understand that customer mindset, especially for the Ramayana people, the pilgrimage people. They are not the normal customer, it's a different customer. So they should know how to handle those also. And while driving on the place to other destination, the guides and the national guides of us should talk about the narrative of the Ramayana, especially as I told you previously, it's history. So you have to go through that all 7 khandas and at least talk about that. And also the people who come on a yatra tours, meals is a must. The vegetarian, most of the people is preferred. And also you have to make it as remarkable and make it repeat travel and develop word of mouth. That's most important. People should talk about the Ramayana in Sri Lanka. That's the real Ramayana. And we shouldn't allow other country to say that we are having a Ramayana, not Sri Lanka. So this is the very, very important area. I must say that because recently I have seen in a couple of webinars, Thailand is claiming that like Ramayana is happening in Thailand and some of the other destinations are saying, no, this is happening in this. So this is the key time we must protect. And we have to work with Sri Lanka Tourism. We have to work with the archaeological department. We have to work with the cultural ministry in Sri Lanka, with the government of India, and develop it. And we have evidence. All this evidence we have. So we should just leave it and go. We have a solid value because other destinations make use of it and saying that Ramayana has happened in other destinations. So these are the tour groups that we usually handle. And also we work very closely with Chinmaya Mission in Sri Lanka and Ramakrishna Mission in Sri Lanka, Sarada Mission in Sri Lanka, and Kalaniya Buddhist Temple. So these are the key area which we combine and do the Ramayana. So finally, this is the picture I really wanted to show you all. The stone actually we donated from the Sithambaram temple to Ayodhya temple, actually the government of Sri Lanka with the Ministry of Hindu Cultural and the Ministry of Buddhist Culture. We have had a strong with the Indian Commission, Indian High Commission, we sent a beautiful stone blessed by this from the Sithambaram temple, send it to Ayodhya temple during the restoration period. And on your right hand side, you can see that this is the Ram Setu bridge. On the end of the Ram Setu Talaimana, the Indian High Commissioner recently conducted puja. Actually, so this is the I really love to make it for the pilgrimage people or the yatra people to come and explore it and experience this kind of a reality of Ramayana in Sri Lanka. So that's it from my end. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vajra, for the great opportunity. And I also thank to my colleagues from our encyclopedia, Mr. Bala Sanskrit Rao and Anita Bose, and former DG Kalai Selvam, and Mr. Shanta Kumar in our team. So thank you very much indeed.
Yes, and thank you very much, Mr. Sithambaram. The epic story, the journey of the dutiful Lord Rama, his beloved wife Sita Mata is later abducted by Ravana and the demon king of the island of Lanka, and the act leads to a war and the burning of the capital city of Lankapura and the besieging of Ravana fabled island fortress. And thank you very much, Mr. Sithambaram. It was really great to hear your knowledge as well. And the Ramayana Trail in Sri Lanka actually includes over more than 50 sites spread across the island, and it could take over two or more weeks to cover all of them. So across the island, it covers more than 1,600 kilometers and it covers more than 5 provinces. And Ramayana Trail also includes temples, caves, forests, mountains, lakes. We are all immersed in legends and myths as every monument associated with this epic. So, Mr. Srivastava, what would be the key determinants in promoting Ramayana Trails in Sri Lanka?
Thank you, Mr. Muzni. Mr. Wazira Ratnaika, Secretary, Tourism and Hospitality Educators and Researcher Association of Asia, THERAA. Professor Suranga Silva, Secretary General. Mr. Kumar Sithambaram, Travelwind Holidays, we just heard him. Dr. Sandeep Kulshthra, President of THERAA. Mr. Ranjan Seghal, President of Indian Golf Association. Mr. Jeewana Fernado from Sri Lanka Tourism. A very good evening and namaskar to all of you. I would like to thank THERAA for inviting me to this seminar of today of great relevance of Ramayana Trail. Well, I could be a odd man out in this whole distinguished, panel of eminent researchers, historians who have great grasp and knowledge on the issue of Ramayana and the Ramayana circuit. Well, my previous speaker talked about tourism for inclusive growth. That's the probably the the theme of World Tourism Celebration for the year 2021. Well, it cannot be denied that the growing influence of tourism sector as an economic powerhouse and its potential as a tool for development are irrefutable. Not only does the tourism sector spearhead growth, it also improves the quality of people's life with its capacity to create large scale employment of diverse kind. It supports environmental protection, champions diverse cultural heritage, and strengthens peace in the world. That is a very important message of the tourism industry and the tourism fraternity. Moving ahead, Government of India, Ministry of Tourism has multifaceted role in the growth and development of tourism. It primarily has three broad roles to play. One is the promotion of the tourism worldwide. Second is capacity building of the human resource in the tourism and hospitality industry. And third, and the most important one, is the filling up the infrastructure gap in the tourism sector. As you know, India has been growing leaps and bounds prior to pandemic, of course, and has been able to achieve almost 14 million foreign tourist arrivals. And the strength of domestic tourists is known to everyone. There is close to 2,000 million domestic visits are recorded in the year 2009. The Ministry of Tourism has a very challenging role to play in these three broad segments which I just underlined. It has various initiatives which facilitate the smooth arrival and travel of tourists, such as electronic visa. In fact, India is one of the few countries which has extended the e-tourism visa facility to 171 countries. It has 24/7 helpline in more than 12 languages. And there are various other activities and important work which ministry and. But I would straight away come to the third part, which is about infrastructure development, and from there we will move on to the Ramayana circuit. Ministry has three broad schemes for infrastructure development in various specific fields. The first one is basically about developing the infrastructure which caters to the human resource training and development in the country. So it funds the creation of educational institutions for tourism like IITTM, Indian Institute of Travel and Tourism Management, and the Institute of Hotel Management in the country. So thousands of students have been getting benefited by these institutions in the country, which has been supported by them. Then there are two schemes where we specifically, undertake the development of tourist sites, and from there comes what we have been doing in the field of the Ramayana circuit development. One of the scheme is called Prashad, that is National Mission of Pilgrimage Rejuvenation and Spiritual Augmentation Drive. Now, under that scheme, spiritual destinations are identified across the country, and the infrastructure gaps are also identified in those destinations, which are important for the smooth tourism growth and development and seamless travel of the tourists also. This scheme currently has around 57 destinations for the cities across 29 states identified, and the ministry has been funding the infrastructure gaps with the support of relevant state government. An expenditure of the tune of rupees 1,215 crore has been envisaged under this scheme since 2015. The second most important scheme is called Swadesh Darshan. Now, this scheme was launched in the year 2014-15. Now, here, Ministry provides the financial assistance for development of tourism infrastructure in consultation with the states and union territory government. Since its inception in 2014-15, more than 75 projects across the country have been identified. And Ministry has already sanctioned a budget of around 5,500 crores to these 75 projects. Now, these projects are categorized into different circuits. Now, I would just name few of them. Of course, we have coastal circuit, we have desert circuit, we have heritage circuits, Himalayan circuit. But the very basic of tourism in this region is linked with yatra. And I would say the spiritual tourism, the spiritual journey, and the quest for spiritual fulfillment, which most of the people in this part of the world is looking for. And that's how we find millions people, I would say, not tourists, millions people are always looking for the spiritual fulfillment, and thus making travel or traveling to the sites related to the same cause. There comes few more circuits which we have. The Krishna circuit, that is related to the life of Lord Krishna. The Tirthankar circuit, that is related to the Jainism. The Sufi circuit, and so on and so forth. Then a very important circuit is the Buddhist circuit. where the Buddhist site, as we know, India is the birth of Buddhism. The Lord Buddha got enlightenment and spread the tenets and the learning of Buddhism. And from there, the Buddhism spread across the world. So there are various sites in the Buddhist circuit, be it Bodh Gaya, the place of enlightenment, or Sarnath, the place of first sermon, or Kushinara, the place of enlightenment, or Shravasti, where he spent almost 24 rainy seasons spreading the teachings of Buddha, and other places. Now, time immemorial, the pilgrims are visiting these areas, and a lot of pilgrims from Sri Lanka also visit the Buddhist circuit. So, to make their travel easier and safer, the gaps have been identified and is been slowly being filled. If some of you have traveled in the circuit, what it used to be few decades back and what is today is a huge difference in terms of the connectivity, road connectivity, the train connectivity, the accommodation, and other aspects. And last, not the least, is the most important circuit for us, that is the Ramayana circuit. Now, this is again one of the identified circuit under this scheme of Swadesh Darshan. Now, we all know there are plenty and plenty of places which are related to the life and legend of Lord Rama. And discussing about the Lord Rama and its influence on the mankind is unending. So Government of India also puts a lot of effort in terms of filling up the infrastructure gap, the gaps related to the connectivity, the accommodation, the human resource, availability in terms of the trained manpower, trained guides, trained tour escort, language, foreign language guides, and other aspects related to. So this is one of the identified circuits where the infrastructure gap, right from the tourism aspect to the basic amenities, are also filled. Now, some of these destinations which have been identified in this circuit are Ayodhya, Nandigram, Shringverpur, Chitrakoot, Sitamarhi, Buxar, Darbhanga. These are in Bihar. Ayodhya, Nandigram, Shringverpur, Chitrakoot are in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Then Mahendragiri in Odisha, Jagdalpur in Chhattisgarh, Nashik and Nagpur in Maharashtra, Bhadrachalam in Telangana, Hampi in Karnataka, and Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu have been identified. Now, under this Ramayana circuit, there are two big projects which are being sanctioned and underway. The first one is the Chitrakoot circuit, which is in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Now, here project worth more than 70 crores have been identified and sanctioned. And the work related, like say, improvement of toilet facilities for the tourists, the tourist facilitation center, the laser shows, depicting the tales of Ramayana in the evening at the tourist sites, foot over bridge, etc., have been fully done and completed. So this is the first project in the Ramayana circuit which has been completed. The another project of the Ministry of Tourism is going on in Ayodhya also. That's over 100, around 130 crores worth of rupees. And there are various components, as I mentioned, something similar, like parking facilities or foot overbridge or tourist facilitation center, the beautification of Ghat, the cleaning of the Ghat, the street lights. So these are the things which have been developed in that project also. So these are the two major projects which are going on in the circuit of Ramayana. And we expect after the completion of these two projects in the Ramayana circuit, more such projects will also be undertaken in the remaining destinations, and it would be made easy for the tourists. Indian Railways has also been, promoting the Ramayana circuit in a big way. They have launched various tour packages via their corporation, that is IRCTC. IRCTC, that is Indian Railway Tours, Tourism and Catering Corporation. They have also launched few regular programs to the Ramayana circuit and have been aggressively promoting these circuits. Now, one of the circuit also includes the visit to the sites related to Ramayana in Sri Lanka also. In fact, they have been running these packages since 2018. In fact, one of the tour is of 16 days and 17 nights, and it covers the Sri Lanka leg also. There's another train which is known as Ramayana Express itself, has been launched in the year 2019. I think it starts from the city of Indore in Madhya Pradesh and goes to Varanasi and Ayodhya and other places. In fact, when these tour happens, they have been covering most of the tourist sites which are related to the life of Lord Rama in the Indian part as well as in the Sri Lankan part. And that's how we feel and we are confident the tourist of today is not about the spiritual journeys for the older people. But the most important thing is the youth of today also needs to understand the legacy and the spiritual richness of the country and understand the importance of these places and brought closer to the rich glory and the teachings of our spiritual past, including the Ramayana, which is again the most important and the
Yes. And
important. Sorry. Or you said something?
Yes, Mr. Srivastava. Just to give a thought. So, through an ancient story rooted in the universal themes such as love, valor, duty, and human frailty, the Ramayana lives on in our present through the arts and architecture and the historic law and the legend, as well as the infrastructure, as you mentioned. So, in Sri Lanka, widely identifies as Valmiki mythical Lanka, the epic continues to inspire the faith of millions of people on the island and beyond. And thank you very much, Mr. Srivastava, for sharing your knowledge with us. And I would like to direct the next question to Dr. Sandeep Kulshthra. And the Ramayana Trail is deeply believed by Hindus across the world, and especially in India. And well, it plays a major role in the country itself. Though the majority of sites are being located in Sri Lanka, the trail represents features of cultural tourism and history along with the religion. So, moreover, it's a kind of religious tourism, and viewing it as a potential market in the industry, the people who choose this itinerary would expect more than an average tourist. So, how the skill development would be an important to deliver a quality Ramayana trail as a tourism product, and how the importance of identifying the cross-cultural differences of Indian tourists to deliver a better experience, Mr. Kulshthra.
Thank you, Muzan. And before I start, let me extend my sincere thanks to Professor Suranga de Silva and panel expert Mr. Jeewan, Mr. Kumar Sithambaram, and of course, Vaizera is there as a secretary THERAA for taking up the initiative here in Sri Lanka and India. The theme for skill development is very much important for both the nations. When we talk about the SIT, special interest tourists, those are coming to Sri Lanka. If you just critically examine the Indian tourists, you would realize that the tourists, those are coming from northern India, they are altogether different. When we talk about the North Indian tourists, they are different. And when we talk about the South Indian tourists, they are altogether different. So, far as skill development is concerned, to cater the special need to these tourists, there is a need to have training programs. Of course, as Mr. Kumar Sithambaram has discussed, we must have a special training program for tourist guides, tour escorts, tour leaders, tour managers, and so on. And there are various stakeholders. So I just wish to share my screen with you. I hope it is visible to you. So, far as Ramayana is concerned, is it audible?
Yes, it's audible and we can see it very well.
Yes,
Yeah.
Professor, yes,
So,
we can.
so far as India is concerned, like Sri Lanka, we also have a Ramayana circuit, and it has been identified right from Ayodhya. Like Mr. Kumar Sithambaram has mentioned about the Ayodhya Shodha Kendra. We are closely working with them, and there are and Mr. Arun Srivastava has discussed about this entire, trail where this is the last goes to the Rameshwaram, and Mr. Kumar Sithambaram has very nicely shown about this Setu, and the NASA also have clarified about this important aspect. Dear friends, we have to understand about the Indian tourists those are coming to Sri Lanka. When we talk about the cross-cultural differences between North Indian and South Indian, you would be surprised to see their food habit is different, their languages are also different, as well as their dressing is also different, and the color-wise also. So it's about difference between North and South Indian tourists and their requirement. When we talk about the Sri Lanka, especially the Ramayana circuit, there are two type of tourists those are visiting Sri Lanka. One is called the budget tourists. Those are basically interested to visit Sitama temple and they are going to Kandy and so on. Whereas the luxury tourists, they are looking forward for other aspects also. So that has to be a blending with the Ramayana circuit with the other prominent area of Sri Lanka, including the wildlife tourism also. Dear friends, Sri Lanka is not very far from even from Delhi. The flight is hardly 3 hours. From Chennai, it is 1 hour. From Madurai, it is only 45 minutes. I think 25 minutes is the flying time. So weekend tourists, holiday tourists, they can also be encouraged. And there is a need to have to cater these tourists. Those are coming for the weekends and the holidays. Of course, short stay and long haul tourists, they can be uh, targeted so far as training is concerned. Indian, when they are visiting the Ramayana circuit or the temple, they used to go for the special prayers. They are having special rituals and offerings. Perhaps Sri Lankan guides are not aware about all these things. It is not only the story of Ramayana is important, rather prayer, rituals, all these are important. So far as food is concerned, it's not only the vegetarian food is important, rather when the Indians pilgrimage, when they are visiting the Sri Lankan Ramayana temples, they don't want to take the garlic, they don't want to take onion. Even the shopping is a big charm for them. Hardly they are coming for hardly matter whether they are coming for pilgrimage tour. They love to visit Odell if the luxury tourists are coming. Otherwise, house for fashion, Marino, all these are the area where they are coming for the shopping. So when we talk about the potential market, because India consists of Hindu, Muslim, Islam, Muslim, Christian, and others. But a large number of Hindus, they are staying even in Malaysia. They are working over there, Singapore. And of course, he has rightly mentioned about the Thailand. And there would be a tough competition if Sri Lanka is not coming forward to encash this Ramayana circuit. The day may come when Thailand may claim about this Ramayana circuit because they also have the Ayodhya beach and other places. Nepal, Indonesia, Bali, even there is a large chunk of Hindu population. Those are working in United States of UAE, United Arab Emirates. NRIs are there. Those are in Europe, US, UK. I let me tell you, there are certain states called like Gujarat, Punjab. These are the places from where large chunk of the people are working in Europe. Of course, US and UK also, which can be targeted where the Hindus are staying in the particular cities and the area. Pacific, the Fiji and Australia, they have a large chunk of the Indian Hindus are there. Mauritius, Suriname, Netherlands, these are the country where almost 18th century, even in South Africa also, the settlement took place. The Indian diaspora is there, which can be targeted. Dear friend, this is a very, very important area where we can target about the tourist guide. Language is very important, and it is not only the Hindi. To cater the South Indian tourists, those are coming from Karnataka, Andhra, Kerala. These are the states, even Tamil Nadu also. You require to have the language guide. Yes, I can't speak Sri Lankan language singly, but at least I can say Ayubovan, Kohamade, Stuti, all these initial words like Namaste, Aap kaise ho, all these things are important to have Of course, language guides can be trained. Heritage guides, which is very much required, as Mr. Kumar has also discussed about the Ramayana. We have to tell all these things specifically to cater these tourists. Those are coming. Eco guides, destination guides. Why I'm telling you, when you are going to Kandy, you require different tourist guides to cater the Hindu tourist. While they are going to Sitama temple or while they are going to Gale, they have to tackle in a different manner. The forest area is very nice, and you require to have the forest guide when we talk about the Ashoka Vatika, which is near to the Sitama temple. Adventure and SIT, these things can be taken care. So far as training is concerned, I just was working on the training. There is a specific need to have the training, especially to cater the Ramayana circuit for the boarding and lodging staff. And we can have the 5 days training. The master trainer can be developed, and the broad course contains. I just was trying to find out that how we can have something concrete, and there is a possibility if at the ministry level if we can have the treaty. Otherwise, from the educational institute point of view, Sri Lankan, the Colombo University Tourism Department and Indian Institute of Tourism and Travel Management can shake the hands for this bilateral issue, especially for the development of the tourism in general in this region, as well as for drivers, there is a need to have the training. The Sri Lankan drivers can also be developed for those are working on this Ramayana circuit. Similarly, when we talk about the roadside restaurant, there are so many roadside restaurants which I have observed, and small restaurants. So we can have, because Sri Lanka also is facing this pro-poor tourism, community involvement for the upliftment of tourism. So all these things can be added for this roadside restaurant employees. Those are working gift and souvenir shops. Indians are crazy to buy for the shopping. As I told you, whenever a person is coming to Colombo, he love to visit hotel or house of fashion or sometime there are so many malls are there, Morino and other. So these are certainly, even the photography, we have conducted so many workshops and training program on travel photography. So what I wish to tell you in the nutshell manner, dear friends, of course, street vendor is also very important. We have to find out the touch points. The moment the gentleman, that the tourist is coming to Colombo airport, from Colombo airport to the Ramayana circuit, how many touch points are there where the tourist is meeting with the local stakeholders? So we have to identify those touch points and the gap, as Mr. Srivastava also discussed about this gap. And then we can find out, the areas where we can develop some training program for the skill development. So with these words, I just wish to sum up my discussion. I hope, I'm sorry if I have taken some more time. Thank you so much.
Yes, Mr. Kulshthra, and thank you very much. And talking about cross-cultural differences over the last decade, Ravana has become a cult hero and a devotional figure among Sri Lankans who claim that he is also a distant ancestor and a founder of the island's legendary founding monarchy. And the Ramayana Trail for tourists, as you mentioned, and the pilgrims and encourages promoting famous religious Buddhist and Hindu sites that mark significant episode in the story. And thank you very much, Mr. Kulshthra. And the next question is to Mr. Fernando. As the easing of the travel restrictions has begun, however, as vaccinations programs roll out in Sri Lanka, many of us hope to travel again at some point in the near future, even if not immediately. With that in mind, as the Ramayana Trail is being an untapped market and which also symbolizes more cultural values and nature tourism, the Ramayana sites are depleted with natural attraction and combined with a special incident in Ramayana Trail. So what has this Sri Lankan Tourism Promotions Bureau done to promote this Ramayana Trail in this world?
Actually, thank you very much, Dr. Suranga, Professor Suranga, and the team of Columbia University for organizing this type of webinar to promote the Ramayana Trail in Sri Lanka and also in India. When we talk about the Ramayana Trail in Sri Lanka, it is not a matured product in the sense of tourism. This product started around 2008 by the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau, then Sri Lanka Tourism Board, and gradually it developed day by day and come up to a certain standard in organic manner. But with the new tasks of the government to reach 10 billion USD by 2025 through tourism, we identified that Ramayana Trail is the most important product which could be marketed in India and take for revenue to the country. So we have done a lot of things for promotion of Ramayana. I will share my presentation and tell you about the things we have done to promote Ramayana. Is this okay now?
Yes, Mr. Fernando.
The historical link between Sri Lanka and India is evident from recent past to historical era. So when we this give me a minute. Is it okay? Yeah. The history, the Ramayana, unlike other epics, Ramayana describes geographical landmarks. I think this is the only epic which describes geographical landmarks. By going through these landmarks, we have there were legends in Sri Lanka that related to Ramayana. Sri Lanka tourism at the beginning of the Ramayana development of Ramayana Trail identified side by side which were having legends related to Ramayana. And up to now, we have identified 50 sites, around 56 sites in Sri Lanka. And we are promoting 30 sites in Sri Lanka. These are the sites. There are 12 temples, and the rest are just sites where you can go and visit. Then Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau first of all identified the Ramayana sites around the country and developed the Ramayana Trail with the assistance of the tourism industry in Sri Lanka. Then after that, we have the product developed in organic manner. By 2018, we have started a rapid promotional campaign to promote this Ramayana in Sri Lanka. Our new product development team do a research about this untapped market and identified the lapses within us in the promotion of Ramayana sites. Then after identifying the lapses, the first thing we have done is to develop the promotional backbone of the Ramayana product. That means we have developed a comprehensive website, microsite for that. Then produced documentaries for Ramayana. Then we have established a film library with Ramayana clips and rushes. Like that, we have developed the promotional backbone at the beginning. Then we launched the product in India by 2019, by 2018, and then the travel industry people had an opportunity to take these, utilize all these assets developed by the Bureau. Then we started the human capital development. We trained Ramayana guides in Sri Lanka because we educated them about Ramayana, and then again we have trained the frontliners of DMCs in Sri Lanka to sell Ramayana product to Indian tour operators. Then again, the tour operator. Then we have gone to India and made training sessions for the Indian tour operators with the assistance of High Commission in India. After that, we received a lot of inquiries from Indian side, and the bridge between the Indian tour operators and the Sri Lankan DMCs got connected, and the product get promoted rapidly. Then again, we tried to take charter flights from Indian South Indian airports to Jaffna Airport to promote the Ramayana sites in the northern side, because the most important sites related to Ramayana are in the northern side of the country. That means Kiramalai temple, then Tirukoneshwaram, Tiruketishwaram, like that. Likewise, they have, and Ramsetu also. They are very much important sites. We need to establish the charter operations from South Indian airports to Sri Lanka, the Jaffna airport, to take groups to the country. Then we contacted credit card companies in India and started promotions with them. At that time, the pandemic got started. Then after that, this promotions of the Ramayana product got halt. Then our future plans are, we had an idea of having a Ramayana festival in India, in Sri Lanka, a 10-day festival in 2020, but it got postponed, and we will definitely do the Ramayana festival by 2022, and we have started our program to live stream all the Ramayana sites in YouTube and social media. And the most important part of the promotional campaign is we are negotiating with an Indian film company to shoot a film on Ramayana in Sri Lanka. The same sites remaining in the country. Likewise, then our promotional campaign on Ramayana is not restricted to India. We want to take it to UK, then Western European countries, USA, Canada, France, South Africa, to attract the Hindu community, the Hindu diaspora in these countries. And by the meantime, we are doing some infrastructure development for Ramayana Trail in several sites which are not up to standard. So by 2023, we will complete all the infrastructure facilities for the whole Ramayana Trail. That is our target. Then, if I tell you about the Ramayana festival, out of these 50 sites, there are 28 sites which are very popular among Indian tourists. So we plan a festival of 14 days with a 10-day tour to all the Ramayana sites. All 10 Ramayana temples in the country will be part of this festival. Everywhere the festival will be going on. During these 10 days, the devotees can come to visit these temples for their worship, to worship the God, and also they have to go to one site, one temple to other in this trail. And in the journey, they can visit all 28 Ramayana sites and have a good experience about the Ramayana Trail. The other one is the film My Name is Ravana will be was planned to shoot in Sri Lanka on 2020, but it will also be shooted in Sri Lanka. We are planning to start shooting on November 2021. This is these are small. These are the things we have done to promote Ramayana within India, and also the other parts of other destinations, where other countries where the Hindu communities are there. The most important thing, we have started branding. We have rebranded the Ramayana Trail as Ramayana Yatra. That was a turning point of the promotional activities of Ramayana Trail, because more than that of Ramayana Trail, Ramayana Yatra is closer to the Indian community and the Hindu community. I think that is the most important step we have taken for the promotion of Ramayana. Thank you very much. Do you have some more questions?
No, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Fernando, for sharing your knowledge with us. And the epic symbolizes the power of devotion in human life and the deep connection between God and his devotees. Therefore, the God incarnated upon earth as Rama to provide the humans with an ideal role model which they can follow to achieve liberation. The following is the story of Ramayana. So coming to the point, the cultural tourism in India is predominant factor behind India's meteoric rise in the tourism segment in the recent years, because from time immemorial, India has been considered the land of ancient history, heritage and culture. So how important for Indians to experience the Ramayana Trail after the pandemic? And Mr. Seghal, how do you see this as an emerging opportunity?
Yes, once again, good evening to all, and my respect to all the panelists, eminent panelists from Sri Lanka and India. And I think it's a great learning platform which I am getting after spending almost more than 35 years in the Indian travel and tourism industry. In last 1.5 hour, what I have learned, I think I have not learned in my college or in the books also, but it's a great learning, and I'm very grateful to THERAA, the Tourism and Hospitality Educators and Researchers Association of India, for Asia, for giving this platform to us. And as you know, I'm part of the Indian travel and tourism industry, and I also visit various travel and tourism hospitality institutes all over India to share my knowledge with the students, because they are the future of India. So I'll give you a very small example, then we can say how this Ramayana Yatra will be more relevant in the coming future. You know, when I was, Mr. Sandeep ji invites me every year to, give a motivational lecture to the new students who join travel and tourism. So just before the pandemic, I was in his institute in Gwalior, and I was giving very rosy pictures and motivating them that you are really done a good job by joining the travel, tourism, and hospitality industry. It's one of the best industry in the world. So one of the students rose and he said, sir, everything is going in recession. And how you can say that travel and tourism will do better, because it's also not doing good. It's before the pandemic. So I said, gentlemen, travel and tourism is no more issuing tickets, hotels, or making car bookings. You know, travel and tourism is now related to so many segments which I learned in my 35 years of experience. I said, whenever there is a recession, mostly the Europeans and the Americans, they go in depression. But Indians and Asians from Sri Lanka, India, Nepal, they go to their gods to get some kind of blessings. So instead of going in depression, they rush to their god. So why don't you become a pilgrimage tourism expert and make lots of packages for pilgrimage and sell it to your customer? And you know, I said, when Indians are going to meet their god, they don't compromise for the money or for the cost. So you can make a good money. So he was satisfied. And I am also doing lots of pilgrimage tours within India and outside. And I think Sri Lanka is the right example, because this pandemic has, given us lots of lessons that we have to give respect to the nature. We don't have to be in the rat race, and we have to be multi-skilled, and we have to do a lot of collaborations. And I think the THERAA, which has taken this initiative, is a great thing you are doing. And, people, after the travel will start, I think Sri Lanka, we are very glad that Sri Lanka will be opening their borders very soon for Indians. And Indians are hungry to travel. You know, if you have read the newspaper or see the Indian TV channels, after Unlock 1 and Unlock 2, Indians have, throughout within India, all the destinations were fully booked with Indians. The Srinagar, which is, people call it a disturbed state, it's full at the moment. The hotels, you won't get it less than 20,000 or 30,000 rupees a room. So you can see the power of travel of Indians. And I think whenever the future travel will start after 1 week or 2 weeks, it will be a totally different kind of travel. People will be looking for safe and responsible tourism. They don't go to places which are crowded. They don't want to stay in a closed door hotels or big buildings, So I think Sri Lanka is the ideal destination. As far as connectivity is very, very important for the future travel. And as Sandeep ji said, that Sri Lanka is very well connected with India. With all the major cities of India, Sri Lanka is connected. And, Sri Lanka is very open, close to the nature, full of greenery, the beaches, and overall the Ramayana. I was, very, impressed to see and learn that there are more than 30, or you said more than 50 sites related to Ramayana. And Indians are now waiting to travel to pilgrimage places because they were also closed. They want to take the blessings of Lord Rama chambers, so the direct traveler can see your presentation, that how you are promoting Ramayana Yatra, which is a very great word for the future pilgrimage travel. And I think we can do wonders. In our audience, I just got a WhatsApp message from our very dynamic businessman from India, from Delhi, Mr. Devesh Gupta, who is the chairman of so many Ramayana, Ramlila committees. And he said, why don't you invite a delegation from THERAA during the Ramlila celebration? And there are thousands of people who come and watch this Ramlila for 10 days. And if you can give a 5-minute presentation every day, I think what you will do, the message you will spread to Indians, you will not able to spread through brochures or through documentaries, because you are in direct touch with thousands and thousands of people who are sitting and watching these Ramlila for 8 to 10 days. And, then we have a chamber which is connected with all the NRIs who are settled outside India in all the countries. So we do every evening at 8 p.m. lots of program related to travel and tourism for them, and they join us from all over the world. So your message can go to all these non-resident Indians also. And Indians, when they see a Bollywood film, whether it's any part of the world, and they see that their famous celebrities are shooting over there, they want to go there. But when they come to know that this is the place where Sita Ma was there, or this is the place where Hanumanji was trying to locate Sita Ji. So, they will love to come, but this is only on marketing and awareness, sir. As far as travel industry is concerned, they still need a lot of information from your side, because they are not aware. And at the moment, they need to make some money, because as you know, travel and tourism hospitality industry was the worst hit during this pandemic, and it's still suffering. So tour operators are looking for new kind of segments where they can make money. And I think this is one of the best segments which you can sell as far as Sri Lanka is concerned, because you must have seen how Indians were crowding Maldives, whether it's very expensive or so, but they want to move out from their homes. But once Sri Lanka will be open, I think you can do wonders. You will get good numbers of Indians, and they will spend, because of this yatra, you said 2 weeks to see all the sites. But if they spend at least 6 to 7 nights, which means a big boom to your economy, to your hotel stay, to restaurants, to taxi drivers, to scooter three-wheelers wala, it's a big economy boom for you. And I think we can do wonders. We have Arun Srivasthava, who is a dynamic person from the Ministry of Tourism. Sandeep ji is the pillar of education from India. So if you want to bring a delegation, I can connect you with various platforms through webinars, or if you want to come, as I told you, Devesh Gupta ji has already said yes, that you can ask them to bring a delegation during the Ramlila time. So we can do lots of things, and I wish THERAA lots of success as far as Ramayana Yatra is concerned. And this same thing, being the president of India Golf Tourism Association, Indian golfers are very hungry to come and play in Sri Lanka, because they can't go to Thailand, Vietnam, or other places. So out of this golfers, there are lots of people who are into pilgrimage, also into spiritual. And after this pandemic, everybody has turned spiritual, whether he was not visiting any God, but now he is remembering God. And so I think this is the best thing you have done. And we give you full support. I assure you, on behalf of the travel and tourism industry, all the chambers, anything you need, any awareness or marketing for this project, just tell me or Sandeep ji, or we are already there, and we'll do a lot of things for you. And I wish THERAA for this Ramayana Yatra a great success. Jai Shri Ram. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Seghal, for sharing your knowledge with us. As we are getting a few questions from the audience, I would like to direct them towards you, the panelists, according to your area of expertise. So you can take approximately 1 to 2 minutes to answer the questions. And we have got 2 questions so far. And the first question goes to Mr. Kumar Sithambaram. Uh, one person has asked, what are the practical strategies that could be streamlined to promote Ramayana Trails among the Indian market?
Thank you, Musli. With regard to both, like now, we've been in the, as a DMC's policy, like now when we wanted to promote Ramayana, actually, I think what Mr. Ranjan Seghal is clearly says that there is a tool, I mean, like methods, I think like the Association of Travel Agents in all over in India, and also like we need to do quite a lot of road shows in the each and every potential market area where people Ramayana pilgrimage gather, like Ramayana Yatra, people will travel to all over the, especially for Sri Lanka and India. So we need to target those association, and also I suggest like what need to do is like a video clip actually, like to promote Ramayana is actual video clip rather than like a picture. We have to present ourselves that like how it will I mean, like the operations are taking place, or like the pujas are taking place in the temples, and all this, like very clearly, we must give a great publicity for these places of Ramayana. And also, I suggest like a good potential, because a lot of areas in India, a lot of Swamijis are there. So it's a great marketing tool to approach Swamijis and get down some groups, because they are a lot of Indians follow through the Swamijis, like with inspired with each and every Swamijis. As I classically I said like Chinmaya Mission is a instrumental tool in Sri Lanka to promote Ramayana. So similar like that in India, I think various part of India all have missions and organizations. So that's the key area which we need to target as well. So, and also we need to have a proper documentation of Ramayana in Sri Lanka to publish in the entire India or out of India as well. These are the key strategic point I feel that to develop Ramayana from Sri Lanka.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Sithambaram. And we have got another question from Ms. Natali. This question is to Professor Sandeep. And there are different beliefs on King Ravana and the stories revolved around. And what are the ideal ways to create firm mindset and educate the travelers with universal narrative? And how is the need for authentic documentation for deference by the guides is viewed? I guess it's quite a deep question, Mr. Sandeep.
The tour guides are basically considered as the source of information, and the authenticity is very, very important. And you know, in India, we have a system where the licensed guides are considered to be the approved guide. When we talk about the licensed guide, means they are authorized by the Ministry of Tourism or the state tourism or the local bodies. Similarly, I think Sri Lanka also have the system for the licensed guide. So far as the Ramayana and the Ravan's character is concerned, you know, no doubt, even in North India also, Ravan is considered to be a knowledgeable person. But unfortunately, the practice which he has followed, which he did, in fact, he took the Sita and from India, and finally, there is a saying that you know, if you are involved in the hardly matter whatever you have, the knowledge or the wisdom of knowledge you have, but if you are misusing it, if you are creating problem for the humanity, then you can understand the outcome. So this is what things are prevailing so far as India is concerned about the Ravana. One more thing, just as I discussed about the cross-cultural issue, the Ravana is the same character, but when you visit the Tamil Nadu, I think Mr. Chidambaram, he will be agreed. There are certain places there the people pray Ravana. and that prayer is for his positive aspect. Similarly, in the northern India also, when we talk about the Lord Buddha, the entire India, or you can say worldwide people, they pray the Lord Buddha. But when you visit, there is a state called Odisha in India, where Ashoka, during his war, during the fight, he realized that, oh, what am I doing? He was in a battleground and he killed million of people, and there people used to call Chanda Ashoka. Ashoka as a Chanda means he's a killer, big killer. But then he immediately realized that I have committed a mistake. And then he is considered the Ashoka, whose son and daughter had been to Sri Lanka. Then the Chanda Ashoka has been converted into a Dharma Ashoka. So similarly, when we talk about the Ravana was considered as a Brahmin. Brahmin means that the knowledgeable person. So dear friends, when we are imparting the training to the tourist guide, we have to cover both the part. And see, it's a very simple principle of tour guiding. You cannot overlook the person who is visiting your destination. If it is North Indian, you have to have the same story in a different manner. Similarly, when a South Indian is coming, you have to depict that story in a different manner. It is as simple as it is if I'm from Indian side. If I'm explaining about the cricket stars of Sri Lanka, when I'm with the Indians, I have to tell a different story. While I'm in Colombo and while I'm chatting with the people in Sri Lanka, then obviously I have to discuss on a different manner. But the authenticity is very, very important. People love to listen to stories, untold stories. So all these things have to, because today everyone have the Google. So, but beyond the Google, that is called the stories, untold stories, which can be shared with the tourists. When you visit Sitamba temple, the waterfall is there, the lush green garden is there. People used to say Naula Berry is considered as the Stockholm of Sri Lanka. And this is a mesmerizing experience. So this imagination and all those things, so that has to be incorporated when the guides are sharing the stories. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Sandeep. And as we have reached the final stage, I would like to thank all the panelists for sharing your knowledge with us. And the main objective of this panel discussion was to identify and promote the Ramayana Trail as a cultural tourism product and to create awareness regarding the Ramayana Trail and to promote it as well. And in conclusion, although it's not popular among the European tourists, more than half of the Indian tourists are already aware of the Ramayana, which is a part of the Hindu religion, but not aware about the Ramayana sites and their speciality. And Ramayana Trail is a sophisticated niche market for Sri Lankan tourism industry, and novelty nature of Sri Lanka would be a plus point to promote among the tourists as well. And when considering the tourist arrivals to Sri Lanka, the Indian market percentage is so high, and Indians are already aware of the legend and it could be promoted easily. And although Indians are aware about the trail, they are not aware of the Ramayana sites due to lack of promotion and information service. So in conclusion, I would say Ramayana Trail needs more promotions through internet sources, websites, blogs, and social media. And finally, I would like to thank all the panelists for joining today, and Professor Suranga Silva and Mr. Vajira Ratnayaka for giving me this opportunity, and all the members who put their effort to make this event a successful one. And thank you all, and stay safe and stay blessed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Murthy. I am Arun Srivasthava. I just wanted to invite all the Sri Lankans to India post-pandemic whenever the travel is open. Do visit India and do enjoy the Ramayana circuit in India. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Nice evening.
Namaskar and Aibowan.
Thank you.
Aibowan.
Thank you.